Hi guys, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. In this case I'm going to be talking about food, and it is one of the most important topics. So if you just subscribed or you just started following my videos, or even if you've been with me and following my videos for a while now, this is clearly one of the most important topics I'm ever going to be talking about. For those of you that have been following my videos for a while, you know that I left Argentina already. I'm no longer living there, and I'm in Northern Ireland. I moved here just recently. And the food supply that I had in Argentina was mostly used up because we knew that we were going to be leaving, so we dug into our supply. We still had a lot of it left. We had a lot of it, and you usually have much more than you expect to be needing in case of an emergency. So we had plenty of food, so we gave some of it away to friends or to charity. So we got rid of all that. We have to start fresh new in a new country and try what is available, and based on that make the decisions so as to again build up our food supply. So I thought it would be a good moment, a good idea to make a video now, just how it is that I go about it, how I analyze things, and maybe that is going to be giving you a good idea on your personal preparations. Alright, as you see, this is just ordinary food from the supermarket, nothing weird or strange or hard to get for you guys, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that later. But for getting started, especially for what is short to medium term food supplies, not talking about buckets of food that are going to be lasting 10-20 years or so. This is just normal stuff that you can get anywhere. Especially in a first world country, these things are pretty plentiful, and surprisingly enough, well, not that much of a surprise if you know about it, but in many cases cheaper actually. Many of the products you see here are cheaper than in Argentina. For example, canned goods, I mean, just as an example, this costs 39 pence here. 39 pence, it's less than $1. And for $1 you don't buy this in Argentina by any means. And it's not as if we don't grow stuff in Argentina, it's just that food is expensive and the cheap one is of awful quality, which is something you don't want to be consuming. So basically those are your options in Argentina. You buy food that is sometimes cheap but of awful quality, and if you want something that is of acceptable quality, you have to pay much more for it. And I'm not talking about anything fancy. I'm talking about food of acceptable levels of quality. And nothing too elaborate or anything like that. Just a minimum level of quality that you should come to expect and you should be eating. Now, in South America, that's sometimes not the case. You end up with awful products if you cannot afford the better versions of them. Right. So a few basics for building up a food supply. First of all, you should be stocking up on food that has long-term storage. Basically, you know that by taking a look at the expiration date. Let's change the mode here. What is that? That's gonna be expiring on June 2015. June 2015, guys. There's relationships that don't last as long as this can. There's, lots of things will not last until 2015. It's a pretty long amount of time. I'd say this is a long-term food storage, in my opinion. 2015, it's I'm good if it lasts for at least a year. That's good for me. Generally, I suggest building up a food supply up to 6 or 12 months, preferably. Why is that? Why is it 6 or 12 months? Is it that you're going to be facing disasters that last that long, that you're going to be bugging out in your super bugging location, whatever, and eating up your 1 year of food supply? No, actually no, that's not the case. Usually a disaster, natural or man-made one, and especially if you're going to be staying at home because maybe of civil unrest, because of other problems, it's going to be maybe a couple of weeks. So it makes sense when in some cases you see people saying, okay, it's just for 2-3 weeks, maybe a month. A month of food should be enough. And in fact, a month of food should be enough for most inconveniences, for most disasters or incidents that are forcing you to dig into that. Now, On the other hand, you have to be realistic about what are your most likely threats, and one of those are socioeconomic ones, mostly economic problems, maybe losing your job, maybe inflation destroying your income and your purchasing power mostly, which is what we saw in Argentina. So in Argentina, for example, it wasn't that bad, the looting. I've been around looters looting stuff and, just by my side and stuff. It's maybe a bit surprising for those that are unused to it. But the problems aren't looters. Problems are mostly bankers that destroy your income. I'm not nearly as scared of a looter as I am of a price popping up and doubling from one day to another. That's the scary stuff. That entering the supermarket and checking the prices and seeing that they've doubled or gone up 50% in one day. Man, that is really scary. That's what people don't get. It's not the TV stuff, the scary stuff. It's those cold facts that ruin you. So going back to your food supply, why is it that in spite of a couple of weeks mostly being enough for 90% of the cases you will be facing, why is it I still suggest 6 to 12 months worth of food? The thing is, if you end up losing your job, if you end up losing your income power, you will have to dig into it. You will have to put food on the table because you eat every single day, right? So why not buy that ahead of time? Most of these products will last easily for a year. Why not buy them now? If you know you're going to be eating already, if you already know you're going to be eating tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and so on, why not put that aside today? And just in case there's problems of any kind, of any nature, the only thing you know for sure is that you're going to be eating. Hopefully, the only thing you know for sure is that you will need to eat every single day of your life. Okay, that's the thing you know. So you can plan for some events that given the current situation, you can come to expect to occur. The economic situation all around the world is pretty bad. No country is safe from an economic disaster these days. It's happening in many places. I get emails from people in Greece, that they're getting hit pretty hard. They don't know what to do. So these are things that just happen. Why not put that food aside today? And you know what? If you lose your job, if you see inflation doubling from one day to the other, you're going to be having lots of things to think of. But it's just awesome to not be worrying about putting food on the table the following day or the following month, So it's, if that peace of mind, if you can at least get rid of the food problem, if you can at least assure that your family is going to be having food for the next month or the next couple of months, that's one huge load of problems out of your back. And you have more time and more resources and more energy to concentrate on other things that you'll probably be needing. How finding another job or finding ways to make more of an income or how to stretch that income better. At least you will have that time span. You will have that food supply to get you through some of the worst of it. It's going to be a long video because I've been talking a while now and I haven't even started, but these are all things that I want to share with you. Guys, if you manage to have a bit of patience with me, I know my videos aren't that great. I know I'm not a great speaker or anything, but I do have a bit of knowledge on these things that some of you want to prepare for. So please bear with me and have some patience. There's going to be things I'm going to be saying through the video that I do want you to listen to, okay? Let's get started. Let's start with the basic of what it is that we need in terms of proper food supply. We're going to be building up a supply of food. What is it that we need in terms of having a somewhat balanced diet? Let's take a look at what we are usually suggested. I have my notepads over here. There we go. Yeah, gonna be drawing that again so as to have a better picture of all this stuff. Yeah, me and my drawings, I cannot avoid it, guys. Just be patient. I'm changing that setup there. Yeah, the pyramid basically, oh, this is gonna be hard, just doing single-handed while holding the camera in the other. Basically you have grains as your base of the food pyramid. That's gonna be for most people, it's going to be bread and flour and that sort of stuff. If you're going to be having rice as well, a bowl of pasta. Yeah, those look like chopsticks, but well, pasta, rice, beans, and flour as well for making a loaf of bread, for preparing pies and such. This is basically considered the base of your food pyramid, and that's perfectly fine. So we first cover that. How do we cover that? How do we cover those grains and those carbs that we need for basic substance? And one thing that when a disaster occurs in U.S., like Katrina, you see all these airplanes dropping MREs and all this cool food stuff. When disasters occur in South America, there's no planes dropping supplies. There's just requests for charity. They just put an ad on TV saying, please send food to the people in Santa Fe that got hit by a flood very hard and lost everything they have. That sort of thing happens. For example, in the flood of Santa Fe, lots of people lost their houses, lots of people went hungry, and they only depended on charity. So, awful situation to be in, because sometimes people aren't nearly as charitable as you wish they are. But the thing that I want to mention here, what it is that they ask for. They ask for this, which is powdered milk, instant dried skim milk, mostly for kids, and it's a good energy supply as well. Powdered milk. They ask for rice and the sacred third world food supply, which is pasta. This is what mostly gets asked for during disasters in third world countries. They ask you for pasta, for dried pasta. Please send it to you if you can. Send it to the people if you can. Why is that? Why is it that pasta is so good in terms of keeping someone alive? Right? You already know that in China, people basically survive on rice. Well, mostly this one, the brown rice, is the one that has the outer layer of the grain. That is the one that has all the good stuff. Not that much white rice. Why is it that pasta is so great? Because it lasts for a long time. It has several years of before it expires. Here we have the expiration date on 11/13. So you have until almost 2014 until this officially expires. Even beyond the expiration date, a couple of years or more, it's not going to be going bad. They just have to put an expiration date or a best, what you see here, best before. Best before doesn't mean that the food just explodes the day after it expires. It's just a suggested date by which it's best to eat it, which the date by which the food tastes the better, where it has the most nutrition value. That doesn't mean that this bag right here of pasta cannot last a couple of years beyond the expiration date, especially if you store it properly in a bucket. If you put this in the Mylar bags, you seal them with oxygen absorber inside, it's gonna be lasting for a long period of time. Now, to get started, and especially if you want to go for a 6 to 12 month supply, you are good to go just as it is. Just keeping it in a dry, clean location and storing it properly, it's gonna be good enough. This will provide a significant amount of calories, of nutrients for you. For someone that is going through a disaster, for someone that is really hungry, bowl of pasta is indeed a lifesaver. It provides energy to the person that needs it. It's a basic food supply, in my opinion. And in the experience of people that have gone through these sort of disasters, a bowl of pasta gives you a ton of energy. It keeps you fed for a good period of time. Another important factor is that it's cheap. This packet here costs $2 something. There's even cheaper ones. Basically, here I saw that in Tesco you can get it for 50 pence. That's 50 cents of a pound. For half a pound, you buy a kilo of pasta. kilo of pasta is a good amount of food for the money. So this, in many cases, is the basic food supply for people. I received an email once from a guy in Cuba. He was telling me that the government supplies them with, of course, dried pasta. And little else, right? The government in Cuba at least used to give them some basic food supplies. One of them was pasta. But what was happening is that these guys wanted to eat pancakes. So what they did is get the pasta, they left it in water for a day. Once it's softened enough, they made like this pudding, and with that they made the pancakes. So they basically went back to an hydrated mass of flour so as to make the pancakes or whatever it is. It's already easy to cook, which is great. Now, the thing that isn't that great about dried pasta is that you cannot eat it as it is. So that's why you want to have a well-balanced supply of food. The best possible food for you to stock up with is going to be requiring no cooking at all. It's going to be having a long-term food storage. It's going to be expiring in at least a year or 2 years, and it will require no cooking whatsoever. That's your ideal food supply. Alright, so keep that in mind when you're buying things that need to be rehydrated and such. It's a bit more cumbersome. It requires water, guys, which water is a precious item during real survival situations. Water is a commodity of great value. Maybe you don't have that much of it, and if you have something that can be eaten already as it is out of a can, that's gonna be an advantage for you, you know. If you can just dig into this jar just as it is, that's gonna be an important advantage for you. It's already hydrated, it has already water in it, so you know, just things to keep in mind. When water goes out for a few days, you see how precious it is, how valuable it is. You just understand that every little bit of it that you use in other uses for rehydrating food and such, you know, it's more of a problem. Another basic supply, another basic water supply for me is this instant mashed potatoes. These cost like 20 pence each, cheaper than in Argentina by a long shot, no doubt. Same for pasta. These are both cheaper than in Argentina. You know, people going through third world countries thinking they're going to be living on cheap. It's really not always that the case, especially not in some of the basic food supplies you always need. The instant smashed potatoes make for a great addition to any food. You can combine it with most of the things you see here, maybe with a bit of tuna, if you get hold of a bit of fresh meat, or if you have to dig into a kind of meat like the one you see here. Instant smashed potatoes are great in that regard. It's also a good source of energy as well. And since it's dehydrated, it lasts for a very long period of time. It lasts for several years, clearly beyond the expiration date. I think it has, what is it, 2000 January? It's not February 2013. And I'm telling you right now, this packet here could last a couple of years more easily beyond that expiration date. No problem. The ancient Incas, they used to build up their food supply by stepping on potatoes and letting that smashed potato with the foot dry under the sun. They would last for years after that, for decades, processed that way. So imagine that a nicely packed dried potato like this is going to be lasting even longer. So it's a good addition to your food supply, and it still composes one of the basics as well, in terms of, well, it's not exactly a grain, but it is part of a basic staple you will add to your supply. Moving on up, what is it that we have? We have food, we have fruits and vegetables. And here I'm going to be taking a few seconds, because when the economy collapsed in Argentina in 2001, I was I was just getting married. I wasn't in a bad position by any means, but it wasn't ideal either. I didn't have much money to get by. I actually didn't have a job, I think, when I was getting money, or I was just getting started with something. There wasn't many jobs around either. You know, we're talking about half of the people between 18 and 35 being unemployed. I think the official unemployment rate was 25%, but for young guys it was even worse. And well, you know what I'm talking about. It was pretty bad, and we didn't have that much money, so we had to buy stuff that wasn't very expensive. One of the things we didn't buy much of was meat, because meat tends to be expensive. So, you know, my wife was pregnant. I had just gotten married, and we had to buy what we could afford, you know. And one of the things that I remember being expensive besides meat is having good fresh vegetables. That's not something that you find at a good price all the time. So that's why I really like this sort of thing, this masonry jar with carrots and some peas or whatever it's called, petit pois and baby carrots, well, whatever. That's snoring. Guys, sorry for that. That snoring is this guy over here. I'm gonna be taking a second. Yeah, Spike. Yeah, this guy deserves his own video and an explanation of why is it that he was added to the family. He's very tired right now. Just that face kills me. I just wanted to share that with you folks. Sorry for a little thing. Well, going back to what I was talking about, fresh food and vegetables were rather expensive. It gets very complex, folks. I could spend an hour explaining why it is. As the economy collapses, supplies get expensive. People producing food also face their own hardships. The price of fuel goes up considerably as well. The imports needing for farming and such do put a dent into the food producing sector too. So it basically gets pretty expensive, especially fresh food, fresh meats and fresh vegetables. That gets expensive. So based on that experience, I understand that it's very important to have this fresh, or well, this isn't exactly fresh, but good quality vegetables. I prefer, of course, the glass than the can instead, and especially at this price. This is 39 pence, which is less than $1. By no means will you be finding this in Argentina at that price. Even if you convert it to the peso, it's going to be costing twice as much in Argentina. 39, less than $1 is a very good price based on what we've seen over there. So I do put a good amount of these aside just in case. When talking about vegetables, what basically you want to be covering, without getting too specific about the nutrition value of each product and such, basically what you want is to have your greens, your orange, and your yellow, you know, the corn, covering at least those three. At least those, it's going to be providing a somewhat okay diet for you. Same thing for fruits, canned fruits, which also last a good amount of time, and if you find it for sale, they aren't that expensive. So stock up on those when you find them for a good price. This was in a good price. I'm going to be buying more of this. I just bought a few so as to try them out. I knew they were going to be good, so I bought a few of these. But I'm going to be buying more for certain, because for that price, I think it's a great product. Moving a bit up, talking about meat and milk derivated products. Milk, you're basically going to be covering it with instant dried skim milk, something like this, or similar. You have condensated milk, which is also great. I have a few of those cans, but I still have to try out and see how good they are. Also, before we continue on the fruit and vegetable sector, smooth passata, whatever that means, it's basically a sauce. You know, if if you're gonna be digging into your supply of dried pasta, you do want some sauce to go along with it. Make sure it's one that you like. I've bought like 10 already and only liked a couple. That's why I like to first try them out so as to see. I understand that here people like more spicy sort of food, which we're not used to. So it's like very hot for us, like very spicy. And I don't know why it is. Sort of Mexican style of, I don't know. But we like something that isn't that... we like something that's more mild and less complicated, but they both go together in general terms. Also, this tube of tomato puree, which is basically smashed tomatoes and made into, stored in a tube. This expires in December 2013. Long-term food storage, in my opinion. 2014 almost. 2014 is going to be a long time. And if you're, especially, this would work nicely, for a kit in a car, because it's light, lasts for a good amount of time, and combined with some pasta, it's going to be giving you food for a good long period of time in case you need it. So that's an added value. You can eat this out of the tube as it is if needed. Great. It lasts for a long time. It's not that expensive. Half a pound for a couple of these. So it's not expensive at all, and it's a good product. And we're covering the vegetable part of our little pyramid right here. Meat. We're gonna be having tuna. We're gonna be having canned meat like the one we see here. Again, for me, it comes down to first trying each product and seeing if I like it or not, and then finding it for a good price. If those two factors are covered, if it's something canned that lasts for a good period of time, a year or two, it's priced right and I like it, gonna be buying several of those. I'm gonna be buying a good supply of them for my supply of food. Oil, vegetable oil as well. In Argentina, I had this great canned oil that I bought a ton of them. Gave lots of those away when I left, but I haven't found a good canned oil here yet. Whenever I do, I'm going to be buying several too. This is mostly to get by. And even this as it is, it lasts until November 2012. November 2012, still okay. Almost a year from now, guys. And again, we fall within that 6 to 12 months bracket. So buy whatever amount you need to cover that, depending on your household and how many people you have in your house. Well, we talked about canned fruits before, sliced peaches. These are all nice things to have when money is running down, when money is running low, and you have to go for more boring type of food. And I've been there, believe me, I've been there. It's nice to mix a little bit of something that tastes better, something that is fresh or tastes fresh. It's a nice can of peaches is good when money is running low and the food you're buying is mostly cheap and not that great tasting. Also important, and again, whenever they ask for help for people during disasters in third world countries, they ask for, as I said before, the skimmed milk or the instant dried milk, whatever it is. They ask for the dried pasta, and they ask basically the sacred product, which is plain good old flour. Now, this is great for a number of reasons, and I get it. In the survival community, you see people that prefer stocking up on wheat grains and then having the meal and doing that thing. I'm all for it. If that works for you, and if you spend that much time cooking every day or such, I understand it. The thing is, this common packet of flour is going to be lasting for a couple of years at the very least. This is to expire in what is it? January 2013. Right, a rather conservative expiration date or best before date. At least a year or two is going to be good enough. the only thing you have to remember is keeping it sealed after you open it. And again, some people in the survival community bought huge buckets and tons of wheat and left them in the buckets, and a year later they open it up and it's full of bugs that eats right through the bucket or ruin the supply. In some cases you can eat it with the bugs too, but it gets a little bit Dantesque to eat, flour or wheat with bugs in it. Again, if you're just going for a 6 to 12 month supply of food, good old flour is going to be doing it for you, and you can do a bunch of stuff with it. I'm not a great cook or anything, but I know I can use it for several things. It's not only just making bread or making pies and such, thickening up soups. It's a good source of energy, and it offers a wide variety of options in terms of cooking. Just make sure you get the flour you need for whatever it is that you do most often. Here, for example, we still like doing empanadas and tuna tarts and such, tuna pies. For that, you need the plain flour, not the one that that grows. You need just the ordinary one, the common one. So, depending on what it is that you plan on using it for, go for that, or stock both of them. It's still a product that it could be a lifesaver during a disaster when you find yourself without the possibility of going to the supermarket and buying stuff, when you find yourself without a job. Good idea to stock up on flour as well. Basics, essentials, sugar and salt. You can never have, in my opinion, you can never have enough of either of these. They last forever. You use them all the time. Sugar, when you need energy, sugar is one of the fastest providers of energy. Salt has 1,000 uses, and it's also used for processing food so as it lasts longer. Salting meats. There's so many uses you have for salt, and it stores indefinitely. So why not add it? You're gonna be using it either way. So same thing for sugar. What else we have here? Rice. These remind me a lot of the ones that I bought back in Argentina. They weren't as cheap as they are here. I was paying at least twice as much in Argentina for this exact same product. I mean, it's of course a different brand. This one is even better than I bought in Argentina, but it's basically this rice that has a little bit of azafran and that yellow stuff, a little bit of dehydrated vegetables in it as well. So it's a good supplement for your diet. It has a bit of too much salt, which is something similar to what happens with Campbell's soup. The typical survivalist stash full of Campbell's soup. That's actually a pretty sucky idea, because Campbell's soup has a lot of salt in it. It has lots of sodium. It has a bunch of chemicals that I just would prefer to go without. Always read what it is in the product you buy. In the can, you will usually read if it has some artificial additions to it, or if it's just plain old good old proper processing of the product, and it has no conservatives. Most of the good information you will find already in the product. Just it's a matter of reading and informing yourself, and then going up online and seeing what it is that you're eating. That's the best recommendation I can give you in that regard. What else? Popcorn. This is something that I've written in one of the first write-ups that I did in terms of survival and preparedness when I first started writing about the economic collapse in Argentina. I mentioned that since everything was getting expensive, since there was little money to get by, and since it was also dangerous in many ways to go out, if you want to play it safe, and especially if you didn't have much money, one of the best ways to spend a Saturday or Sunday night was watching a movie and eating popcorn. Just watching a movie, staying home. You end up doing lots of that when it's dangerous out there, when it's expensive to do anything else. You end up doing more of a home thing. Maybe not if you're not much for TV, then staying playing Monopoly or whatever it is you enjoy doing, another table game. Those are all things that they help a lot when you're stressed because of the general conditions, because of the economic struggles, because of the danger out there. It's just a good idea to add a few of these, and have a bit more of a variety, trying something different. It gets boring when you eat all the time the same 2 or 3 things. What else? Chocolate. I think this was like a pound or something like that. Oh man, I'm already in 35 minutes and I already have a lot of things. This reminds me of something I don't want to go without mentioning. Cadbury Dairy Milk, whatever. Good amount of chocolate for the price. I think this is for like a pound. You're basically buying, what is this? Is this a kilo? No, it's gotta be half. Yeah, yeah, here it is. 400 grains. It's a little less than half a kilo of chocolate for a pound. For a pound would be like 7 pesos. Guys, for 7 pesos, you don't buy a quarter of this. Yeah, maybe half. No, not even half. You buy like a quarter of this for 7 pesos in Argentina, and it also says Cadbury Dairy Milk bullshit stuff, right? Now, the little difference is that you end up buying Cadbury Dairy Milk chocolate product in Argentina. It costs 2 or 3 times as much, and it basically sucks because the Cadbury product, this goes for M&Ms, this goes for Oreo cookies, this goes for most of the brands you think you will be finding in crappy third world countries. Now, the trick is that those same brands, they don't make the products in the same place and provide it on every country. The Cadbury chocolate that I buy here in Northern Ireland is probably made right here in UK. Yeah? Okay? It's here made in UK. Yeah, this one is made in UK. Just looking for it. Republic of Ireland. Well, either way, it's made in UK, or you find products that are made in France. You find Belgian chocolate, which is good as well. All good. France, UK, even Spain chocolate is good. If you buy this same product in Argentina, it's not going to be made in those places. It's going to be made in Brazil, right? Brazil, the provider, the origin of this nice amount of meat here. The good meat in South America, in Argentina and Brazil, the good meat gets exported to first world countries. When you're living in crappy third world countries, they leave you the poor quality meat because you don't have much of a choice. Now, when paying in euros or dollars, they can become a bit more picky and go for better quality. So again, same thing happens with chocolate. If I buy M&Ms in Argentina, they taste like crap and they're made in Brazil. Brazil makes awful chocolate. Okay, same thing in Argentina. Chocolate from Brazil or from Argentina simply sucks. It's more expensive and it still sucks. This chocolate is like tasting a little bit of heaven in comparison to a Cadbury chocolate you buy in Argentina. Just wanted to say that in case anyone thinks, okay, you find the same thing all around the world today. No, it's not the case, folks. Companies make products depending on the consumers, and poor South American third world consumers have less choices, and they don't have that. They cannot complain as much, and they cannot be as picky as people in first world countries. So you just eat any piece of crap they give you. Toblerone chocolate. Yeah, this is good. I like Toblerone. One of the things I like about it, this costs £1, kind of expensive, but the nice thing about Toblerone is that you have an expiration date that is 1/3/2013, yet it's sealed on the inside with that aluminum foil. That aluminum foil is a nice good seal, and combined with a cardboard box that protects the integrity of that foil means that Toblerone stores for a good amount of time. Stores easily for I'd say a year beyond the expiration date. Again, it's not expiration date, there's a difference between that. This is best before 1/3/2013. So because of the type of packaging, you end up knowing that it lasts longer. Same thing for canned goods. Canned goods always last longer than their expiration date, as long as the can keeps its integrity. If it's been dented or if it has a bump anywhere, don't use that, because it has been compromised. The seal has been compromised, and there's a chance of bacteria leaking in or something. Don't use cans that have dents, and don't pick them up when buying them either. Even if you're getting them for a cheaper price, I wouldn't risk it. Don't buy cans that have been dented. If the can is properly sealed and the product inside has been sterilized in a proper heat procedure, it's sterilized on the inside, a can in theory is supposed to last indefinitely. Okay, they found cans from the Napoleonic Wars and the Civil War that were still okay. Not the best tests or anything, but you could still eat them. That's because if it's sterilized on the inside, there's nothing inside to rot and eat through and ruin and spoil the food on it. What else? Well, basically cookies. Cookies that have like cream on the inside, and that they don't last as long. So something to keep in mind. Maybe the more simple cookies are a better idea. And what else? Nutella. This is like hazelnut spread. And one final bit of knowledge here to share with you folks. There's a thing called plumpy nut. If you go online and you look at plumpy nut, it's called a miracle food product because it's been used in Africa to save lives of starving little kids. Those little kids in Africa that you just see and you want to rip your own heart out. It's awful how thin they are. Well, they are so thin and so weak. Many don't have the strength to eat properly. Plumpy nut, basically, it's a product that a company came up with, but essentially it's peanut butter, dried milk, and sugar. It's basically a composition of those three products: peanut butter, sugar, and milk. That makes a paste, a brown paste that is very sugary. These little kids that don't have strength to move much or even eat much, they just suck on the packet of it. They just eat that paste, and because of the nutrients the milk and the nut has and the sugar and the combination of those three and the instant boost of energy provided by the sugar, it saves lives. It has saved countless amounts of lives, thousands of lives saved by a thing called plumpy nut. Here, this isn't plumpy nut, but this is Nutella, and it's basically hazelnut spread, lots of sugar, and it's lacking the milk. But basically, what I'm going for is that peanut butter is a great survival and preparedness food. It may not last that much because it has lots of fatty acids usually go bad much sooner. Same thing happens with rice. Brown rice goes bad much sooner than white rice because it has the fatty acids from the outside layer. So while it doesn't store as well, it is a great, very energy-full product. It has lots of proteins, lots of calories. Great product. So maybe if you find some canned peanut, I don't even know if anyone is doing that, but some canned peanut may be a good addition if you find it. If not, just remember to rotate and eat it and use it and not let it go bad. So guys, I don't know if this was very entertaining or informative. I hope it was. I think I shared a good bit of experience there, and maybe not the most comprehensive food video, but at least it's going to be giving you ideas so as to work on your own food preparations as well, folks. So that's going to be it for now. Take care and see you on our next video. Bye bye.